Oi. It's Therapy Monday.
Yeah, that was I got a unk out of this week. I feel like that was a game that the Browns won that game, but we caught an L. Uh, it sucks, man, because like we did have like after those, we were down 14 zip, but we came back and we really started to shut them out that entire second half until that last drive. And um it sucks because that was a game very similar to how I look at the Steelers game. That was a winnable game that we kind of threw away. And what it boils down to, I'm trying to pinpoint things. um and it's hard to pinpoint. It's super hard to pinpoint. I think the defense kind of struggled a little bit, um, blocking Tyler Lockett. They kind of had problems with that all game, and they did a really good job about taking care of DK. DK had a pretty nice game anyway, though. But
Ah, I thought
yeah,
DK was pretty quiet.
he was. And that's what I'm saying. He was very quiet. But the thing is that we talked about last week was that they do have Tyler Lockett. They do have Njigba, and he is the one that scored that touchdown. And DK was blocking for him.
I mean,
There's a
totally
lot.
for him.
Yeah,
Holding.
dude, there were some things in that definitely missed, quite often. But I said you don't leave it up to the refs. We should have stopped them. Uh, One thing that really stands out to me with that final drive was I hated that we called that timeout. Clock's running. You kind of gave them more of a benefit than I feel like you gave a benefit to us by calling that timeout. You're under 2 minutes at this point, and you kind of let them regroup and really settle in. Like, hey, what's the best play call here on the 20-yard line, right? Uh, I didn't love that, and I understand where Kevin might have been coming from, especially thinking about like, well, if we get the ball back, we want more time. But man, I'd rather go into overtime than lose this game. And you know, you get the ball back with 38 seconds, and you don't have anything to really go off of. I mean, no one looked open. PJ Walker was kind of running for his life in the backfield, you know, and it went four and out. So it's very much I don't know, disappointing end to the game. Uh, that in a game that I believe we should have won.
Well, unfortunately, that we did have one, and it just got away from us again. You know, I've had some time to think about it a lot. It's one of those damned if you don't, damned if you do kind of deals with that final drive for the Browns. We could sit here and blame the whole game on that little play call. I think it's been awful time management by the coaching staff, but you gotta you gotta you gotta tip your hat to Stefanski again because it was just I hate it, but it's the right thing. But it was another damn good play calling game for him. But you could be perfect the whole game, but when it comes down to, crunch time, you can't be taking risk like that.
You
But
can't throw the ball on a 3rd and 3 when all your running backs average above 4.
I mean, yeah, it was. You had one
Big,
averaging 3.9, one averaging 3.6, the other one was averaging 4.3. It's you were
yeah.
moving the ball very well on the ground, and you know it just. that final play, if you go back and watch it, there was guys open all over. And it just had to take it reminded me of a soccer play almost. Jamal Adams had to get up there and like head the ball.
And he
And
literally did.
yeah, it just seemed like he did it on purpose too, and that's what
Yeah,
makes it
I
funny.
mean,
But
Jerome Ford was wide open in the middle of the field. I mean,
yeah,
he threw it right. Ford was right in the middle, uh, and and that was would have been a first down. But that's one of those things where the ceiling, is low with PJ Walker. I thought he had a very nice game, but you see these limitations, right? I mean,
yeah, but
we're not going. Even if we, you know, run it back with PJ Walker the remaining of the year, I don't think we'd make the playoffs. And then even if we did, we'd be knocked out first round. I mean, he played good. He had a good game, but he's very much a one read kind of guy. You saw it all game. For example, that throw to Amari Cooper, um, corner of the end zone. Man, if he just looked at Elijah Moore, it was wide open in the center of the field, walk in touchdown. Um, so it's one of those things where the team's there, and like we've been talking about for basically our entire lives at this point, uh, we just need a quarterback. We just need a quarterback because this team's ready to go. And as that PJ did not play bad. I mean, he was 15 for 31, which is obviously not a great stat. Completion percentage was 48.4. But 248 yards, one touchdowns, two interceptions, passer rating or QBR of 67.9. I mean, I would probably say his best game that he's had so far. He finally get that touchdown. Um, but like we said a little bit earlier, I mean, the running game was working by all three of our backs. I mean, Kareem Hunt, 14 attempts, 55 yards, averages 3.9 a carry, along with 9. Pierre Strong had a very nice game, 10 rushes, 41 yards, average of 4.1, along with 12. Jerome Ford, 9 rushes, 37 yards, 4.1 a carry, along with 12 as well. And PJ Walker had a very actually worked very well as quarterback keeper. She had 6 rushes, 27 yards, along with 9. I mean, those are good numbers. And it boils down to when you're in certain situations, you gotta rely on these guys. You've got to rely on these guys. And especially when you're doing all these formations where you have Nick Harris coming in as fullback. Okay. You have a lineman lining up as a fullback to charge in front and knock over whoever's in that way. You're 3rd and 3, 3rd and short. Please just run the ball. You can get fancy with how you run the ball. I don't care. But these guys are putting in the work,
be
and
careful what you wish for, Mike.
I know,
Be
I know,
careful what
because
you wish
Kevin
for.
will be like, "Oh, well, you said it."
Say less, bro. Say less.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Like,
It comes down to it where all these guys are eating, and they're eating good, and you don't stray away from it, and they started to stray away from it a little bit, even though it was relatively consistent. Um, little shuffle dump passes worked really good, screens worked good, and I feel like when we're in a pinch, they're like, "Hey, let's have PJ Walker throw some darts," right? Like, I don't know, a little bit frustrating.
yeah. We're just gonna keep circling back to this play. It seems like because probably the most talked about thing right now is that it's from a time management standpoint or just trying to seal the game. You run the ball. The good thing is you would get a first down. The negative would be you get stopped and it's fourth and whatever. Okay. The thing about that is the clock runs, you punt the ball, you get it underneath 2 minutes because they ran that pass play. It brought it underneath 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So they would have ran the clock down underneath 2 minutes, whether they got the first down or not. And they would either had to punt the ball away or just basically seal it up at that point. But it's all about field position, I think, at that point in the game.
Yeah.
And if
And you
it's
basically handed it to him at the 45, right? I mean,
right, I mean, yeah, you gave them the ball at the 45-yard line with a bunch of time left and two timeouts. Um, if you would have punted it and at least try to push them back to the 20-yard line, the way your defense was playing, I mean, in the second half at least, it was good enough to, make it come down to the wire and at least force a field goal.
yeah.
Um, this was just, it was, you got to be better. It's every second matters, every yard matters at that point of the game. Um, those timeouts don't come easily. So, I mean, they don't grow on trees, should I say. So, um, they really blew a big opportunity to move up in the division, with Pittsburgh taking the L, and now you got Cincinnati climbing from the depths of hell.
Yeah, and I mean
To
all three of us are technically tied. We're in
Yeah,
third place, Cincinnati in fourth, and we're tied with Pittsburgh, although they beat us, so they're on top. And then we see the Ravens at 6-2.
yeah. It's just been kind of it's a tough game to swallow. I I I know I said the score, but I really didn't have a great feeling on this game. They played a lot better than I thought they would. Um, Defensively, it was a little more disappointing, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, they got out to a 14-0 lead. That's very tough to come back from. But the offense was good enough to, punch back and get
yeah.
back into the game. Um, and I mean, we really had a chance to like end the game,
A
but
few times. There's a
yeah,
few times where we're in their territory and
yeah,
we just stopped moving the ball. It just
yeah,
went to
it
a halt.
just we couldn't he couldn't put the ball in the end zone as for as many times we were in the red zone yesterday. It's been, this was what happens. Sometimes you can't win the game with field goals. Um, and then on the other hand, it was a dropped pick six by Cam Mitchell. I
Yeah,
mean,
rookie.
I'm sure he's eaten himself up, but I mean, ooh, that was a walk
Walk,
into the
yeah,
end zone.
walk in touchdown, and that would have put us up 10. It's another one of those plays, right, where coulda, shoulda had it, but it ends up just being a incompletion, and it's a nice play, but at the end of the day, it's a drop, and it's a Browns loss, and
Yep.
and it's a lot. I mean, a lot of these guys played really good. I mean, Amari Cooper had a great game. David Njoku was, in my opinion, a super highlight. Had a really, really nice game and really clutch situations. Um,
Elijah Moore, I think, had a pretty good game again.
yeah,
Um, for all the criticism he has gotten, I think he's been very quietly a key part of the offense.
sure.
He came very clutch on short plays, and he's had to turn it upfield. Um, the running backs, like you said, I mean, Pierre Strong, wow, just
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, one reception for 41 yards.
Yep.
And that was a beautiful play, man. Something about him, he's elusive, he's quick.
He's
Um,
and he hits the hole hard. That's
And,
why I
and
like
he
him.
and he can really he's got some agility around these guys, right? When people are starting to run towards him to go for a tackle, he's swift with how he's could kind of maneuver around people. He looks good, and he keeps showing these flashes, and I really would really like to see what he has to offer in the future. Jerome Ford was clearly hurt, And I was like, all right, well, let's see what. I mean, I've been kind of saying the last few weeks, so like Pierre Strong is definitely being overlooked as a good back here, and I'm glad we kind of got to see what he's made of against this, I mean, really good Seattle defense. And yeah, I mean, I feel very confident in this backfield, even without Nick Chubb uh, going forward. And it really breaks down to, I mean, it really breaks down to this quarterback, man. It really breaks down to the quarterback.
Yep.
Um, and the thing is, I mean, PJ played good, but at the end of the day, man, he's not a starting caliber quarterback. We all know that. Um, I really like him as a backup. I really like him as a backup in clutch situations. I mean, look at last week. I mean, we're just like, Deshaun's clearly not ready to go. PJ, you go in. We're not even going to hesitate. And he came in and took care of business, and I love that. That's what you need as a backup quarterback. But man, if we want to be anything, any type of good or consistent or championship level team that our defense looks and our offense has all the pieces to do, we need Deshaun back, and we need Deshaun back and ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have not seen it outside of that Tennessee game from him. Mind you, he's only played 3 games this year, and this is going to week 9. Um, I don't know, man. It's in a week that we're going into Arizona, which here in Cleveland, but an Arizona team that is not good, but they play good. They
They
play
play
hard.
very tough.
They play very tough. They want to win. They don't have all the pieces. A lot of injuries. Obviously, Kyler Murray is out, and they've already said that Kyler Murray will not be back next week for this Browns game. But Josh Dobbs has been playing good. He's been playing very good. So we'll see what happens. But man, like I mean, I feel confident that PJ could come in and win this game for us. But at this point, it's been so long without Deshaun. We got to have him back.
Yeah, I
Something.
think this is the it's sounding like he might be back this week, but I don't know. That's just a lot of speculation. But
Yeah.
something I just wanted to make a quick little note about is what's coming up in a couple days here is the trade deadline. Um, there's been a lot of rumors and murmurs on what the Browns may or may not do. There's Jay Glazer reported yesterday that the Browns are big on running backs, along with the Packers and the Ravens. And they've made calls, allegedly made calls to Tennessee about Derrick Henry, which I think is kind of an interesting thing to add. That's a very curious name, whether you like it or not. But with adding someone like Derrick Henry, it allows you to go back to what your form would have been with Nick Chubb,
True.
where you can hand the ball off and lean on the run. But that's a lot of
Yeah. Whatever that
speculation.
would take. I wonder what it would take to get him, because I really wouldn't mind him. The thing is, he's just a rental for half a season at this point. Um, my biggest concern right here is receiver. It is.
Receivers definitely.
I mean, the biggest thing here is receiver, guys. Like I said, one of the names I said, Mari Cooper, Njoku, Elijah Moore, who is one person we have not even said, and I don't believe he had a single reception this week. It was DPJ, man. Where is he at? If you go back and look, I mean, the separation he's getting is next to none. You can't throw him the ball. It's hard. I mean, the windows that you have to throw it into, PJ Walker can't make. And that tells you a lot. And I think Donovan is a great player, but you know, I mean, his contract's up after this year. He's definitely probably going to be walking.
I think
You
he
know,
might be one of the names that might be
on the
traded this week.
I was just going to say he hasn't been producing for us, and he's just not fitting in with his current offense. I think a trade like this would for Jerry Judy and DPJ would be good. Send DPJ there. We get Jerry Judy. and we send them what? I mean, what would you give them? A fifth round pick, fourth round pick?
Yeah, I imagine Denver's going to be asking for a lot more.
They want a
Uh,
lot more. They want a lot
yeah,
more.
yeah. There's a ton of names. I think they all have a price. Um, Denver is on the hot sellers right now with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Judy. There's a lot of names out there. I could see the Browns getting some extra offensive line help. Whether they want to go another route from Jed Wills, but I'd say that he's played pretty well the last couple of weeks after facing a lot of criticism. Yesterday he fought through a pretty bad ankle injury, um, but I still think he had a pretty solid game. Um, and then you could take a look at adding more. I know this sounds crazy, but more defensive pieces. Um, yeah, the more the merrier. As where we're taking a lot of hits on the defensive side of the ball, and our depth is getting a lot thinner. We don't know what happened with Darius Smith and how long that injury is going to be. Same with Greg Newsom.
I was gonna say
So we
Greg.
could you could really see us, maybe trying to find a rental in a corner this week. Um, but
Yeah,
you know,
tomorrow, Tuesday at 4 p.m. is the deadline.
mm,
Nothing has really shaken out. I've seen anything right now coming across, but yeah, man, I think there's definitely some key pieces if we want to, really be successful this year. I think we do need some more depth on our offensive line. I mean, even Dwan Jones left yesterday, he came back, but James Hudson came in. Didn't play terrible, but
I thought he played pretty good.
yeah, I was like, he played pretty good. He said didn't play terrible, but like I like him as a depth piece. I don't want him as a starter at this
Yeah.
point. And it's one of those things that even going back last year, I was like, hey, maybe James Hudson can be that guy. But the more you see of him, he's a great rotational piece, I guess, if there's an injury. Um, and I'm blanking on his name. He was that kind of guy we had him a few years, but he played guard, center, and tackle. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes, I
Bl-
do.
Blanking on his name. He was hurt his whole last year with us. But he reminds me of him a lot. And we'll see. We'll see. We have a day left for that. Um, but me personally, if I was to throw out one name, I would like to get Jared Judy or some type of receiver um, that fits a little bit better. Or even if we don't, I do want Cedric Tillman to come in. I know he's been injured and he's been ruled out or inactive the last couple of weeks, but he needs to get healthy just to kind of see what we have with him because we haven't seen much from him. We haven't seen much from David Bell. Like a lot of these guys we haven't seen almost anything from, you know, and it's week in and week out. Elijah Moore, Mari Cooper, some DPJ, and Njoku. No one else. No one
Yep.
else. And it's one of those things where we felt good coming into the season, right? We're like, oh, we got Marquise Goodwin, we got so we got Cedric Tillman, we got David Bell, we got blah 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 blah. It's like these guys have not been showing up in the scenarios that we want them to, and I don't know if they're being utilized properly or not. Even if they are, I mean, I don't think we have the quarterback that right now to do it, to really show these skill sets off. But outside of that, we don't even see them get a catch or two a game. There's none of these guys that we can like actively rely on. We need someone that can step up to the plate and just be consistently good for us. Um, so we'll see what happens this upcoming week against the Cardinals. 1 p.m. Sunday. We'll talk about it later this week in our next video. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. That's just that's just turn it around this week and get back in the win column and you can feel good going back into Baltimore. Hopefully Deshaun's ready to go.
Yeah, I mean 5-3 looks a lot better than 4-4. So Um,
Yeah, I mean, we're not in a bad spot, but yesterday was a game that they should have won, and you could have been feeling really, really good coming home to Arizona,
yeah,
having to win 3 tough games without your starting quarterback. But no, no, this one you kind of got to take on the chin. It's something that it was in our hands and we gave it away. And it seems like that's always a thing that we're just giving away games that we should win. But let's just
yeah.
wrap it out and put it behind us. Let's head to
Yeah,
Arizona.
let's look forward. Let's not be too negative, guys. There's a lot of good things that we see from this Browns offense. They just need to start clicking, and we need to get Deshaun back and him to play well. And I still feel confident in that happening this year. But we'll see. Who knows? Uh, Go Browns! Thanks for
Go
watching,
Browns.
and we'll see you later this week for our game preview.